Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it's time for this month's broadcast of Chicago Junction, the program that takes you to the wonderful world of trains with the help from our very knowledgeable panel. Sometimes we even have calling guests. I'm your announcer, Brian Ballou, and here's our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Chief Electrical Engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Brian. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, June the 8th, the year 2022. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and mono railroads. And now, to start today's broadcast, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Yay!
Yes, I'm Brian Ballou. I am a rail fan, former railroader, retired Navy gunner's mate, belong to a few museums, like rebuilding the trains and such. And just,
You're just Brian.
Yeah, it could be.
And all your Brianness.
An overall train person. Where the Navy comes, I have no idea.
Well, that's when I start shooting my mouth off.
Well, you always shoot your mouth off.
And we have Doug Kenyuk to my left.
Hi, this is Doug Kenyuk, a one-time rail fan, officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago, adjunct professor, one-time N-scaler, and just like trains, period.
Hi, I'm Ron Messner, and I'm a garden railroad, and I'm working on my railroad when the weather is nice. One day it's nice, then it's rain, and then it's nice. I have 2 lines running. One more to go.
Hi. Is that the one your Woody goes on?
The what?
Your Woody.
Don't worry about my Woody. And don't you go there.
Keep on firing salvos at each other here.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm a foamer. My name's Kevin Berry. I'm a retired Chicago police sergeant. I'm a director with the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club located in New Lenox. Lifelong Lionel collector and operator. And I have some stories for you about train days at Pullman that occurred 3 weeks ago, a little bit later in the program.
My turn?
Your turn.
No? I'm Dave DeRuska. I'm a recovering railroad employee. Been retired for a little while. Still have dreams about it. Had one this morning. They never go away. I'm also the vice president of the Black Hawk chapter of the National Railway Historical Society and the Grand Poobah of Chicago Railroad History Month. October is Chicago Railroad History Month. Don't forget, next year, 175th anniversary of the first train to operate out of Chicago. And everybody's just so excited about it.
Yay.
Yay, right, exactly. And I've got some anniversaries to mention later on. Who's up? What you got there, Brian?
Who's on first?
Want me to go?
Oh, well, I've got Star Metro.
Go ahead.
Okay. First up, rail passenger news, Metra to test a $100 flat rate monthly pass.
Wow, I can go many places I don't want to go.
Yeah, that's right. Chicago's Metro will begin selling the Super Saver $100 flat rate monthly pass during a 3-month pilot period starting next month. The commuter railroad announced yesterday. Actually, it was 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard
And the
that.
reduced fare option for $70 is also available to Ron Messner seniors. K-12 students and children. Metro officials said in the press release, all riders on the Metro Electric and Rock Island lines will also pay a reduced rate because of the Fair Transit South Cook pilot program. The passes will go on sale June 20th. Metro's recovery from the pandemic requires that we look at all options on the table to reinvent our service by listening to riders, creating new schedules, and exploring fare incentives that allow riders to return or try our system at an affordable rate. It says Metric Executive Director and CEO Jim Derwinski and in a press release. Buying a Super Saver Pass during the pilot period will function the same as buying a regular monthly pass through the Ventra mobile ticketing app and from ticket agents. We've been fortunate that regional sales taxes, which support our operations, have remained strong and allowing us to use some of our federal COVID-19 relief funding in more creative ways that directly benefit our riders, said Mr. Derwinski.
Amen.
UP to begin a major tie project on the Metro UP West Line.
Yeah, I saw an article. I don't know where it was on Facebook, but it was a repeat of some news agency, and they said, "Prepare yourself for noise. Metro to do tie replacement," which is the UP replacement project.
Yeah.
So it gives people something to complain about.
Certainly.
Today they will begin the major tie replacement replacement project along 40 miles of the UP West Line in Chicago. The project involves replacing 90,000 ties on all three tracks between Chicago and Elburn, a west side suburb. To complete the project on time, crews will work every day of the week, with the majority of activity taking place overnight. Work is expected to conclude by September 30th. Tie replacement is essential and must be done at regular intervals to maintain track speeds and service levels. Ooh.
That'll get the NIMBYs fired up.
Especially on the line like the UP West that sees a significant amount of freight traffic, in addition to commuter service. When freight traffic gets in their way, they have to stop.
I'm broadcasting right now. I can't talk. You'll have to call me back.
Well, people will be thrilled to know that the crews are required to sound their whistle through the working limits. Frequently.
They're doing it at Grayland all day long.
Yeah.
You hear it because they're over there replacing that bridge and they're putting up the temporary runaround track before they drop the bridge. And you hear them. They start at Irving Park, and they're like, that's 4 blocks away. Yeah. And then on the other side, they start blasting when they leave the station, which has been moved to the Addison side. And it's wonderful. And guess what? It's going all night because at 1 a.m. the Wisconsin and Southern train comes through to clearing, and he's blasting away through and there's no workers there.
When they were doing track work in Hyde Park, all the Hyde Park residents were calling in and complaining about the whistles. Do they have to sound their whistles? Why are they making so much noise?
That's right. They should just tell the person, here's the phone number, give them the FRA in Washington, Here, go complain to these guys. They made the rule. Good luck.
Oh, those were the fun days.
They'll only answer it between 9 and 5 Eastern Standard Time.
Well, we don't tell them that. That's their problem they call. Tell them to call at night.
Give them Durbin's office number.
And here's a story from last month. Metro announced a major overhaul of the station in Harvey. And it was supposed to begin in May. Whether it did or not,
yes,
I don't
it did.
know. It did? Well, I know the accident happened in Harvey.
It was a major lead on WGN news for the whole week before it started. And they even told people today is your last day to ride at the Harvey station.
Yeah, because it's going to be closed for 12 to 15 months. So they can make it ADA compatible.
They got to be doing more than just putting 2 elevators in. It's going to take 15 months. I think that it hadn't been worked on in like 75 years.
Apparently the news, who's ever doing the news, they just fudged it a little bit and said 30 years before anything was done. Amtrak's national network locomotives get a new look. Get rid of the silver.
Yeah.
Painted red, white, and blue. Now, these are the locomotives we're having problem with here in Chicago.
Yeah, the Siemens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a buddy.
Yoo-hoo, Thaler.
I have a buddy who works for Amtrak, runs the Milwaukee line. I'm going to ignore that.
I am too.
And he says that the Siemens locomotives are just pure junk.
I've heard a lot of that.
But they're buying them, so
I just wish he would
they're Amtrak's
label
junk.
himself at that
It's because they
stage.
promised to build them in Pennsylvania or wherever the heck they're doing it.
No, they're doing them in California.
All right. It's built
They're
in-
sending them to they're building them in California. And to get them certified to use on the lines, they have to send them all the way to Delaware first, where their headquarters is, where they're getting to get the...
That's where the guy with the rubber stamp is, right? He's in a special office in the basement.
There was some controversy with the Delaware headquarters for Amtrak, too. They spent about 10, 15... They bought this building for like $3-4 million. They've already spent like about 40 or 50 million. They were going to move all the dispatchers there, and then discovered they didn't have enough room.
So now they're going to knock it down and build a new one.
The inspector general's going, did somebody bother to check a few things? And they've blown like about 50 mil so far on this.
Oh, here's a nice new... Well, this news is for Ron. Cincinnati streetcar system had another monthly high.
Smolin, Mr.
Yeah,
Smolin.
Mr. Smolin.
Are missing...
They have had 81,727 riders. Just shy of the all-time record of 82,934 riders.
0.3.
We'll let Ron read that when it comes.
So that's the news from you so far.
Yeah.
He'll come up with some other news.
Well, yeah, he's got to do a steam locomotive report.
Oh, yeah, we got the steam. Oh, man. Well, the East Coast, boy, they're brushing off a lot of cinders. No, what? They got, in New Jersey, they finally got number 60. Their consolidation running out of Flemington.
Flemington.
Yeah. Reading 2102.
Near and dear to your heart.
Yes. And they've been running up in northeast Pennsylvania. And then you go down to Cumberland, you got 1309, the Malay running. And everybody's happy there.
I got some steam-related news you'd like to hear, so.
Okay.
But first, the regular news. Okay, UP joins Rail Pulse Coalition. The UP announced today it has joined the Rail Pulse Coalition to support its efforts to develop, broaden, and accelerate the use of GPS and other telemetric technologies on North American freight railroads. UP is the 7th member. The other 6 are Gatex, Genovese and Wyoming, Norfolk Southern, Trinity Rail, Watco, and Greenbrier. So obviously not that popular. Says it was formed in 2022. Rail Pulse is a coalition of rail car owners working together to figure out where their cars are by using GPS. He says, the quote here goes, the use of technology to increase shipment visibility is critical for ensuring we meet the needs and expectation of our customers who rely upon us for safe and reliable service, says the executive VP of UP. I know.
They hired him special just to say that.
Yeah, I think. Talking about track maintenance, Kawasaki Track Technologies is testing a...
It's a visual.
Yes.
It's too late to save the boots, save the watch.
That's right. So, Kawasaki Track Technologies is testing a new track fastener monitoring technology in Japan. Apparently, they install it on a locomotive, and it will capture high-resolution pictures to provide data for Kawasaki to use in machine learning programs to inspect and repair track fasteners. The company plans to roll out similar testing in North America in 2023. They mount them in the locomotive.
It'll have a camera that will tell them if Godzilla breathed on the track fastener and melted it.
Yep, that's about it. Now here's one. Dogs and cats may now ride the Pacific Surfliner trains. Amtrak announced a carry-on pet program for Pacific Surfliner riders in Southern California. Beginning in May, riders can bring their dog and cat weighing up to 20 pounds on the train for $26. To comply with Amtrak's national pet policy, a limited number of pet reservations are available per train, and each rider is limited to one per trip. Pets are allowed in all cars except business class and cafe car. They must remain in the carrier at all times underneath the seat. Nobody likes to be left behind. This is in quotes, which is why we are pleased to expand Amtrak's pet program to Pacific Surfliners, says the VP of California Amtrak.
They hired him to say that.
I'm like, you got to pay $26 to take the dog. Heck, I'll drive.
And to put him under the seat?
Yeah.
You ever tried to put a Labrador under a seat?
You got a Labrador that's less than 20 pounds? Jeez,
Yeah.
probably would fit.
Yeah. So Louisville in Indiana acquires the Southern Indiana Railroad. Now, Southern Indiana was one of the interurban lines that wound its way between, they acquired the railroad. Short line operated between Speed, Indiana and Watson, Indiana. Now, I looked it up. They had one customer. It was a cement plant, basically. And the Louisville, Indiana has actually been running it for a couple of years. So this is just a formality of them taking it over 100%. Nothing big there. Now, here's a question. What does Metro North, New Jersey Transit, and Long Island Railroad have in common?
They're all poorly run.
Well, they're all getting real-time train capacity trackers on its train time mobile applications to show rider how many seats are available on the approaching train. These are actually three separate stories, but I just combined it into one because I was sitting there going, you're on the station. You're already late for work. Here comes the 8:20. You don't care how many people in it that you want to get on. That's all that cares to you at that point. Not how, there's no seats on this one. I'll wait 2 hours for the next one. It's so stupid. It's funny. You mentioned the fare thing. CTA partners with Apple. So now you could have your CTA fare card on an iPhone using Apple Pay. And it says the new Ventra cards on the iPhone will build on the strength of the existing Ventra system to make commuting in Chicago even easier and more convenient and help modernize America's second largest mass transit system.
And the pickpockets can figure out who they want to rob as they're getting on the train.
Right.
Yep.
Well, they can check the capacity on the trains and see if there's enough people to rob.
That's right. That's the next app coming. I see that Metro train fully. I can't get on it. I had to wait 3 hours for the next one. That's what's killing everybody on our coming to our club meeting is the Metro Milwaukee North has not increased its schedule yet.
Oh,
it's still all screwed up. So I used to take a train with 6:52. Now they changed the schedule so it comes at 6:45 earlier. Mm-hmm. But there used to be an 8:30 train that left Union Station. Now there's just a 10:30, and that's the only train that leaves. There used to be 3 at night. Now there's only 1 to return. And that because that schedules have been changed, a lot of people are not taking the train to come in. So we'll have to wait. And the same with the North Line. They finally increased the schedule, but I'm not sure what's going to happen on the UP North Line. Of course, those people are going nuts because they're building the bridges.
Yeah, they announced the UP North Line was adding trains. That was the story that followed the one that Metra had to cancel 2 engines that day because they didn't have crews.
Perfect balance. We add 2 trains, take 2 trains off. Perfect balance. And finally, on the stories, I'll talk about the little steam thing. A move by Texas governor has Mexico taking billion-dollar rail project elsewhere. Now it says that Mexico wants to build a rail line that would extend all the way to the Pacific Northwest and originally had plans to go through Texas. However, after Abbott's move on the border, Mexican officials met with the U.S. Secretary of Homeland and are now planning to build the rail line with the San Germano Santa Teresa crossing in New Mexico. The rail plan is called the T-Mex corridor and would connect the Pacific port of Mazatlan to Winnipeg. The project will cost billions. Abbott's increase in border inspections with trucks caused massive delays, cost millions of dollars. Abbott lifted inspections after reaching agreements with neighboring Mexico states that outlined new commitments for border security. Mexican officials took to social media to complain about it.
So is this going to be like the same issue that the truckers had with Mexican truckers coming across the border and not having to live up to the same safety standards as American truckers do? So now they have Mexican railroaders coming north, all the way to Canada.
This is one of those plans that ranks right up to what China wanted to build a tunnel to connect to Alaska. Okay, they want to go from about just north of Mexico City and build a brand new rail line that goes from Mexico City to Winnipeg, and cut through Mexico, New Mexico, to do it. They were going to go through Texas and Kansas and over the Rockies or whatever, and it's estimated to cost rent in the area about $120 billion to build.
Does any of it run through California? Because if it does, they're not going to build it.
No, none of it's going to run through California. So it's one of those...
another pipe dream, huh?
Yeah, it's one of those that, hey, sounds good on paper. How much is it going to cost? How are you going to build that tunnel?
The cartels are trying to figure out what to do with all that extra money they have.
They could build tunnels faster than anybody. They just found 5 more in Arizona going underneath the border.
Any trains going through them?
No, but they got rails in them. They are using little rail carts to move the merchandise the half mile.
It's like the freight tunnel
saw
in
the
Chicago.
movie The Great Escape.
Yeah. So
Big freight train. Well, yeah.
So I mean, they should be charging for that. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, I brought the book with, and I got the pages marked. It's called Rails North. It's called The Railroads of Alaska and the Yukon. And I'm looking through it. I haven't looked at it in a while. And I came across 2 railroad names, Petticoat Junction Railroad and Rebel Railroad. You could look it up yourself. I got the pages marked with the marker. Okay. Now, Brian probably knows this. Petticoat Junction, I had to look it up, was a tourist trap operation in Seaverville, Tennessee that lasted 3 days. It was using one of the White Pass and Yukon locomotives, steam locomotives. Now, that thing has this convoluted history, how it ended up there, and now it's someplace else. And same with the Rebel Railroad. Rebel Railroad is now what's called Dollywood. It ended up at Dollywood taking it over.
In Sevierville.
Sevierville, Tennessee.
Yep.
Yeah, see, he knows. So anyway, I thought it was just kind of funny. I brought the little bit of history here that explains how locomotive number 4 of the White Pass and Yukon, a 282, ended up down there, and now it's over in, I think it's in Nevada, being rebuilt.
Did Uncle Joe follow the locomotive?
I don't know, but yeah, the operation was called the Hooterville Cannonball. And again, it lasted 3 days for some reason. Yeah.
Wow. See, they made it legitimate.
Did they make a round trip?
I don't know. I was trying to find a map, but it was originally Klondike Mines number 4, It was purchased by the White Pass in Yukon, sold to the Oak Creek Central up in Wisconsin. Then it was resold to the Peppermint and Northwestern. And then it was resold to Petticoat Junction Railroad. Then it was resold to the Golden Nugget Junction Railroad. And then it was resold to the Wild Games Farm in 1984. Then it was resold to Dry Gulch USA in California. And finally in 2005 it was resold and moved to Georgetown Loop. And I don't know, it lost the lineage after that.
Sounds like a tax dodge.
So I just thought it was kind of interesting. I brought the book that shows where the names are. So what do you think about that? So I bring those steam stuff for you.
That was good. That was good.
Very interesting.
I'm done.
But stupid.
No, you're supposed to move the weeds apart first.
The train shows are coming back. York will be the 21st through 23rd of October at the York Fairgrounds. And Train Fest will return to West Allis, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Milwaukee for all intents and purposes.
State Fairgrounds.
Okay. State Fairgrounds, November 12th and 13th. I got the opportunity to go, I want to say 5 years ago. I've sort of lost track of time since we've all been, on a 20-foot leash to our front door the last couple of years.
That's you on a 20-foot leash.
Well, yeah, but my wife's got the other end of the leash.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, when you got a 14-month-old granddaughter that gets watched 5 days a week, I was on very good behavior all week just so I could come here tonight. So, Menards has been very active with train stuff. They brought out another Cripple Creek product, the Cripple Creek General Store. This one has a major upgrade. Four figures, a horse, a chimney, a barrel, a trash can, vintage signs, and the ever-present Jack the German Shepherd.
With a partridge and a pear tree.
And it's $79.99, but then you get your ever-present 11% rebate. And Menards also said they were able to get their hands on some previously issued tank cars, including a chrome and paint Lifesaver tank car, a brilliantly orange Tide tank car, and a chrome and dark chocolate Hershey's tank car.
You say an Operation Lifesaver tank car?
No. It's the last tank car I just mentioned, Hershey's.
No, not her. You said what?
Tide, brilliantly orange.
The Lifesavers, like the little round
Candy
that looks like a Lifesaver.
You remember that?
Similar to the paint job that Lionel brought out on their Lifesaver tank car back in the 80s. And they brought out some box cars, including J. Shepherd and Sons, with a big picture of Jack the German Shepherd on it. And the Cripple Creek Crossing. It's the first floor is red brick, and above it is a wood structure. And Jack's actually got a doghouse now under the stairs.
It comes in two versions, the working version and the one that's boarded up. Been taken over by Central Traffic Control.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And the Northern Nevada Railway has got a big campaign going to
Number 83.
number 40.
No, oh, really?
Yeah, it's they got a $486,160 Save America's Treasure grant towards keeping the steam engine in operation, and they say they need $1,292,265, is their projected price to complete all of the work. And the photograph they show, the nose is open to the smoke chamber and tubes. So they're doing a major do-over on the engine.
Well, yeah, they got to retube it. It's part of the 15-year plan.
Yep. And they got 81 is up and running, and both of their long sought-after diesels are back under their control. And they got their solicitation going for donations for ties and track plates and track inspection, and they said it's $1,000 a month for the obligatory FRA grade crossing inspections on the signals and the weekly FRA mandated track inspections, and they have a whole menu of stuff if you would care to donate to them. And the most recent issue of Classic Toy Trains that arrived Tuesday or Wednesday, Menards is getting their hook in early for Christmas. They've got a 2-page adjoining page, full color ad with all of their buildings and action modules, and there's a picture of Jack the German Shepherd, and the message bubble reads, "I double dare you to find better train stuff." These buildings that Menards has are nice. They look really good on a layout. We've got several of them out at the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club. Nice variety of buildings, whether you have an existing layout or you're just starting. Worth looking at. And no, before somebody makes the snide remark, I'm not getting an honorarium from Menards for mentioning this. And I will be followed by Mr. Darushka.
I mentioned anniversaries. The CTA, I believe, just celebrated 125th anniversary. Although I don't think it was all under the CTA's auspices. It was probably including previous rapid transit operators.
Chicago Surface
Lines and the Metropolitan West Side Elevated and all those guys. All those robber barons.
Southside Rapid Transit, first one.
Yeah. And then Metro just celebrated 40-year anniversary. And the picture I saw online was 4 of their heritage locomotives lined up somewhere. I don't know where. Maybe Western Avenue. And I belong to a Metro Facebook page, and I'm. To me, all the locomotives at Metro look the same. They're all painted the same, but boy, I'll tell you, Metro fans, they know the difference. They're always looking for certain numbers. Where's 104? Where's it today? Who cares? But the Metro fans do.
That's okay. I've seen the C&W heritage units.
Yeah.
That was with the new...
C&W, the Milwaukee District, the Milwaukee Road, the Burlington.
The Burlington Heritage Unit looks good.
And then they have the City of Chicago honoring.
And the Illinois one.
Yeah, the Illinois one. They didn't have that one in the picture, though.
Yeah, that's the one that got, the the state paint scheme.
Yes. That was one of the two engines that was at the Pullman train days on the 14th and 15th of May. It was at the train was facing south with the Illinois engine as the lead unit, and the engine at the north end of the consist was the Burlington Heritage. And there were, I believe, 4 Pullman cars in there, between them.
Okay.
Didn't get a chance. Too busy running trains to get up on the tracks to go ooh ah by the Pullman cars. They had the Amtrak Pullman, George M. Pullman, there as one of the 4 cars.
Yeah.
It was the last car that Pullman built.
Yes.
Yep.
Last one that
In
rolled
fact,
out of
they
their
had-
factory.
There were 2 old guys there that were builders of the car. And they were talking about the special plate. They had special identifying piece that they put in, and somebody took it.
What? While it was there?
No.
Before.
Yeah. 4 days after it left the factory.
Well, sitting in some rail fan's basement. It's like builders' plates and horns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people love to steal those things. Along with brass from wheels and.
I don't know why they do that. I mean, I got enough junk at home. I usually take stuff and leave it there.
We have a member who shall remain nameless, and twice a year, he'll bring something in. Every once in a while we get lucky, and it's like the whistle off the caboose. But I mean, he brought in a set of Western Electric red flashing lights with the bell attached. This thing is the diameter of the bell that they use for a boxing match, except it's heavier because when this thing gets switched on, you're looking for a fire axe to chop the power cord. It's so loud.
What was it used for?
Apparently, it was from Western Electric or Western Railway, and it was used at a grade crossing, probably a multiple track grade crossing. But I mean, the lamps have to be 9 inches if they're a penny diameter. They're just monstrous. Just monstrous. They keep it hidden in a room where people can't get to it, so it doesn't get plugged in.
God.
You should install it with a switch that says "Do not touch this switch."
That'll do it.
The whistle that's hooked to the Electrolux vacuum is loud enough. I wish whoever stole Grandma's vacuum would give it back.
That's what I should have done. Should have plug in the horns and energize them so that way when I was talking about the horn signals, I could have tooted the horn.
Yep.
Remember that for next year.
Yep.
I don't have much today.
The 14th and 15th of May was train days at the Pullman National Historical Site, actually the Pullman National Park. Tom McMahon and his son Michael's an adult, and I were running trains. We had 7 O-gauge 6 O-gauge loops and 1 fast track loop going. We had seven trains running at different intervals. But for me, my personal highlight of the weekend was about 3 o'clock on Sunday. An older gentleman in a wheelchair was rolled up into the tent by his daughter, and he was wearing a baseball cap with an embroidered World War II victory medal on it, and the inscription World War II veteran. And his daughter rolled him over by where I had the Pennsylvania K-1 pulling a 5-unit troop train. And he sat there for about 10 minutes watching it and said, I rode one of those when I came home from the Pacific Theater, and I rode it from California to Colorado. And he says, I can't remember a whole lot about the journey, but I remember I rode on a train like that. And, 50 years ago, taking a college degree in history and being enamored with trains and history, that was the payoff for 2 days of volunteering. To actually meet someone who rode a troop train. And I got to thinking, my dad had joined the Army the day after Pearl Harbor, started out in the Army Air Corps, like most other guys, wound up transferred into the infantry in 1943. He trained at Fort Carson, Colorado, and then deployed to Europe. He had to have ridden a troop train from Colorado Springs, which is where Fort Carson is, to some place on the East Coast for that 14-day trip across the ocean. So, there's a little bit of family history with it too. But for me, that was what made the weekend.
That would make a weekend.
Yep.
The Army, Mr. Blue, the Army.
His guys made sure that the Army got to go to where they could get mud on their boots.
Don't give him too much credit.
You know something? He deserves the credit.
Ooh.
He was one of the unthanked people that stepped forward and raised his right hand.
We got a little bit more information. We had a gentleman by the name of Scott Spiegel, who is I guess he's the director of promotions for IDOT. And he came in, we had him at the Blackhawk chapter meeting on Friday. And he spoke about what's going on with rail, primarily Amtrak in Illinois. They're getting the new Siemens cars online slowly. There was a problem early on with something with the trays wouldn't stay up. They got that resolved, so now they're slowly bringing them on. The business cars are going to take a little longer to come on. They won't be in service until 2023. He talked about the possibility of some service expanding. Well, they've got the high-speed rail from Chicago to St. Louis. That's going. That's a going thing now. They're making, 120, 125 in some spots. They're talking about expanding the high-speed rail beyond Springfield. So beyond St. Louis, actually, which is the final destination now. Talking about adding some sort of train service to Rockford, which has been in the works for decades. The people of Rockford actually built a station, an intermodal station, that has only one modal going right now, buses. They're trying to figure out, negotiate who's going to be the operator, whether it be Amtrak or Metra. And I'm praying for Amtrak. There's a lot of other talk of expanding rail beyond certain areas. They're going to probably add a couple more trains onto the Milwaukee line. But you said that things are looking good right now because the Democrats are running the show. As soon as Republicans come in, they'll probably take away all the money and stop everything again like they did the last time.
Is there a track being laid? Is there a track being laid from Rockford to wherever?
No, they're going to operate on current different railroads. The problem they're having is negotiating with the Iowa Interstate, which doesn't want passenger trains on their tracks.
Okay, I was just wondering if...
Yeah, they're using some of the, I think, Burlington tracks, and then they're switching over to Iowa Interstate for a short distance.
Well, they'll be on the UP tracks. Well, actually,
Yeah.
the old C&W tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of they're going across 3 different railroads to get there.
Yeah, because you got them tracks going straight to Bellevue and then into Rockford.
The part of the problem is they have to upgrade the Iowa Interstate trackage for passenger train speeds, and Iowa Interstate says no, it's currently single track. Amtrak wanted to put a second track in, they said no, so it's,
Iowa Interstate said no?
Yeah, they're not interested.
Well, no, see, that's just like what's happening down in Alabama.
Right.
With CSX.
Yeah.
That's why they're having a hard time trying to become daily service again on the Cardinal instead of 3 times a week. CSX does not want them to
Not in my
fix the
backyard.
tracks.
There was
Not
something
my
else.
backyard.
Metra was talking about taking over the dispatching on one of the railroads, and I'm trying to remember if it was the UP.
I think it was.
Yeah. They wanted to just, hey, let us dispatch it now.
Well, I think UP wants to get rid of it
Oh, they do.
one way or another.
Oh, they do want to
They
get
do,
rid
but
of
they
it.
want to control the tracks. They don't. They want to get rid of the stations. In fact, they put stations up for sale, and they want to get rid of the crewing. They want to get rid of the equipment Metro owns, but they want to get rid of the crewing. They don't. I don't know if they're going to continue to service locomotives at M19A and the coaches at Cal Ave. I suppose they will. Suppose they'd sell those facilities to Metro too.
Well, I just received in the email some kind of PDF document, so like a master Amtrak document for Illinois.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a chance to go through it yet, but they had lines all over the
Oh,
place
yeah,
in
oh, yeah.
Illinois.
Oh yeah.
This is some kind of like, well, we're going to have infrastructure money. We could do the following. So it's
Well, it's like we've got that same type of map for Pennsylvania. They've been the same amount of time trying to get to Rockford that they used to run to.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
it's
look,
always good. Go to the Poconos, go to Allentown. They did that all. And then all of a sudden Conrail started removing track.
Yep.
And you got the Lackawanna Cutoff, which has a bridge in the middle of the river and no tracks connecting it.
1972 all over again. We don't want to do passenger service.
No, they thought Amtrak was going to die a quick death.
Well,
They
it
were
was-
looking
well, it
within
was by
5
design,
years.
yeah.
They were, and that's why they designed the SD40Fs, FP40s, at 3,000 horsepower, and just, they didn't care whether they were balanced or not, and because that way they could sell them for freight locomotives.
Which they did. Yeah, they got
Eventually.
rid of them all, yeah, because they're a hazard to navigation. Okay. Well, they said they kept the railings in there. It's a hazard to navigation.
They really did say navigation. I read that and I'm going, are you kidding me?
It's like you got a choice. Oh, let's steer to the left. Okay.
Has anybody heard anything more about the SD70 MACs that Metra is supposed to
End of this year.
be
maybe.
acquiring
Oh,
and
they
bringing
acquired
into
them.
passenger service?
They already have them. The first one's supposed to go in September or October. They're down in Paducah right now being worked on. or painted or something.
Well, they were supposed to
There's something down there. I don't know.
the trucks were supposed to get re-geared from freight to passenger service, and there were other engineering things that had to be done.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of
Electrical supply for the passenger
for the
cars.
right?
Yeah, power, head-end power, and but yeah, it was supposed.
I think they had to upgrade the electrical output so that there was sufficient electricity in the passenger cars as well.
Oh, ask the Metro Fanatics. We'll find out real quick.
Oh, they don't know. They speculate. You know,
See, I read someplace
speculates.
that first one's going to come in October or November. It's supposed to be assigned to the Rock Island district, which, like, you're going to put this huge locomotive there.
Well, it probably won't go down the suburban line.
Yeah. Well, I can't go down to the UP because it's too heavy for the bridges.
Right.
And but they said the first one's supposed to be available in September, October, in fall of 22.
I can't even get Metra to confirm what the paint job is going to look like.
Yep.
I've got the SD70 MAC in Legacy from Lionel, and I've got the concept artwork on the paint job, but I can't get a confirmation.
It's all a big secret. They don't reveal it till the last minute.
Well,
Until it comes out.
basically, that's what they said in my FOI request, that it's concept, and as long as it stays concept, it's considered privileged.
They're waiting to see what the taggers do. That's the paint scheme.
The tops.
You're gonna park it out at KYD and leave the gate open.
Let's see. Oh, there's a good design. We'll use that one. That's the only reason.
That's right. Save on paint.
That's right. Yeah. Got a rusty locomotive? Park it here. Oh, look at that. It's been coated. No problem. I swear that's what the C&W did before they were acquired. The line that runs along Kilpatrick by us was 2 tracks. Now it's 1 because it goes to Alpha Bakery. But when it was 2 track, they parked a whole line of hopper cars along there. They were basically rust buckets. Within a week, that every one of them was tagged, and a week later, the cars were gone. So I think that was done to rust-proof them, but I'm not sure.
Well, let's see. Over the last month, we actually lost a locomotive rebuilding facility.
Which one?
Silvis.
But they went to be. Didn't they become a museum?
They are becoming a museum.
Okay.
Railroading Heritage of the Midwest America has reached an agreement with Union Pacific to help preserve historic locomotives and passenger cars. And one of the guys that was in charge of this is Steve Sandberg out of Minneapolis, who happens to be in the group that owns 261. Milwaukee Road 261. And they're making a big historic repair shop is what they're doing. And the first locomotive they're going to work on is the Challenger. They're going to put it back on the rails.
Didn't they acquire a whole bunch of UP either gave them or sold them a whole blizzard of equipment?
Oh, yeah, a lot of the locomotives that were inside.
Yeah, there was like 3 engines and about 20 passenger cars or something.
UP is probably their historic program.
Yeah, basically it's their historic. I mean, it includes the DD40X, believe it or not.
Yeah, I thought they sold them a whole bunch of stuff or gave it to them. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, well, basically they gave it to them. They're purchasing. Sandberg's groups and all has got the money together to purchase the facility.
Yeah. So it's scratch your head why you're doing it, but you figure, okay, we'll keep this. Eeny, meeny, out. Eeny, meeny, donate. Eeny, meeny, donate.
Well,
That's what they were doing.
if they can get somebody else to rebuild, redo, and preserve the equipment, it's still gonna bear its original markings, but it won't be slowly dying on an exposed track.
That part's
Let's
true.
see. Of course, the printing on exactly what the equipment is would be very light. Let's see. UP Challengers, $39.85. Santa Fe Type 210-2, number 5511, built by Baldwin in 1923. Centennial DD40XA 3936, one of the largest diesel locomotives in the world, and helped pull the big boy from California. UP 966B, an unrestored former E9B unit, passenger locomotive. 4 coaches, a diner lounge built in the 50s, 2 business cars, Selma, previously a Western Pacific, and Feather River and Sanford. Originally 1928 SP Sunset, SP 140. It was renamed Stanford in 1955. Plus a baggage car of undetermined and a caboose. And all the stuff's going to be moved up to the RHMA's recently acquired shop complex in Silvis, Illinois, later this year. So, they're lining up things, and eventually they're going to bring the 261 down out of Minneapolis. And it's interesting because the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern recently did the thing, just picked up 10 acres of land for storage of equipment and such, and it's going to become their shops for their acquired their F7s, the F7 cab unit and the B unit. They ended up buying those were the Norfolk Southern units for office train, which all of a sudden they threw out. But the place that they bought is the where they used to make fire trucks. Well, actually, they're still the company sold the property, and then they're going to lease back part of the land so they can finish the order of fire trucks that they have. They've got like 10 more. But 2102 is out there making people happy with its hooter. Yeah.
The 765 was at Cuyahoga Valley Steam Railroad the 14th and 15th of May.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to summer there again like it did last year.
No, they're back in Indiana.
The Cuyahoga Valley has a very aggressive social calendar for June. Every Friday and Saturday they've got some type of evening or day and evening special run going. They had one of them is wine and rails. Another one was wine and truffles. And then they got 2 dinner trains going. You know, they did a special Mother's Day run. I'm sure they're going to have a special Father's Day run. I didn't print out their schedule for the month of June, but you know they're very aggressively marketing their availability.
Well, people go to it.
It's a very nice way to spend a couple of hours. I'm very glad my wife and I had the opportunity to do it.
So, is Wine and Rails where they invite all the NIMBYs out to complain?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's another train.
Blowing the whistle.
No, they don't.
That
They don't
smoke.
serve brie.
They serve truffles. It's close to brie.
Well, yes, but they're not serving a nice cheese with the wine.
765 is going back to Indiana, and they're running special trips in Indiana.
Yeah,
They got a big schedule for
that's
that.
why I said
Yeah.
they're in the east right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all set, ready to go.
Yeah, I did post it on our Facebook group.
And for short lines,
Yes.
the Pan Am Railway,
Now part of Chesapeake CSX.
Chesapeake.
Yeah, I wanted to say Chesapeake, Ohio, yeah.
But yeah, CSX, it is complete. They
be gone.
begun. This was noticed. Came out 4 days ago, and the complete transition comes 6 weeks after CSX received regulatory approval from the Surface Transportation Board. Terms of the transaction were not disclosed. We're excited to welcome Pan Am's experienced railroaders into the CSX family, and we'll look forward to the improvements we can make to this important rail system.
Yeah, wait till they dovetail them into the seniority.
Yes.
What do you
And
mean
then
I'm
say-
last on the list?
I think,
What do you mean I got to move to Alaska?
but also, they've been using stuff that other railroads have abandoned. So their wreck train is going to be probably put to bed and put in a museum.
That's a steam. Is a steam crane? Is it?
One is a steam crane.
Yeah.
One is steam and one is diesel. And they've been using it.
Well,
to
they
help
better keep it because CSX is taking over.
Yeah, CSX is going to take over, and they say, "Oh, we don't need that
Yeah,
anymore."
right. The derailments go up.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be calling Corman.
Hulcher.
They don't have derailments, they have ground integrity problems.
Of course.
When you put them on the ground, call Hulcher.
I did. And it had to be on the run I was getting graded on. That coupler had to come out. No, that's what happened. I was literally coming down, I was coming up, doing the curve at Gurney,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, all hell broke loose in the cab. I did remember to push it down somehow, and got it stopped just before I went past the signal, and wiped out 14 cars. It turns out that the coupler, the whole assembly came out.
Yeah, it happened to me coming down into Fox River Grove. One of those cushioned drawbars. Everything came out, landed on the car behind it, and put them in a parking lot on top of some commuters' cars.
Oops. But yeah,
It was a student trip. I got a nickname at the CNW, Crash.
No.
Yeah, there were two others, and there were two more that I had after that.
But it wasn't your fault.
No, when I went in 2 days later, when they called me back in to work again, man, there was a whole line of guys going. And all of a sudden, I walked through, and they just look at me and go, "You sunk my battleship." Oh, that was funny. But yeah, what happened? The plate that held it in had busted right through. Had a big crack in it. Solomon, he walked back because he was Halucci's guy, and he says, "Yeah, it's just about a mile back. We found the plate in the middle of the track." But it dropped out, went underneath a covered hopper that it was on, and then underneath the boxcar, and then 3 center beam flat cars loaded with 2x4s.
Toothpicks.
If you watch Virtual Rail Fan, one of their summaries shows they actually isolated. They had 2 different times last year derailments over at Santa Fe Junction. One was on the overhead bridge on the top level, and the two locomotives, or UP locomotives, pulling a train, I think of grain cars or something. And no, it was auto carriers right behind them. They're approaching the bridge, and all of a sudden you hear this funny noise, and you see the both locomotives go like this and come to a dead stop. 2 cars and the locomotives were off the track that fast. And then the latest one they had, which was from about 2 months ago, underneath the bridge, coming, I'm not sure which direction it is, but the track comes underneath the bridge, makes a curve while it's coming under the overhead bridge that goes to the river bridge. And all of a sudden, some spine car, the one that carries like plywood. Yeah. You see the car, all of a sudden, you hear this noise, and the car starts lifting up, it hits the bridge and starts crumbling, and all the cars behind it are jumping the track. And it's like, cool. You know? Got it on tape. So it was derailments just are amazing how fast they happen. You know,
and then even at slow speeds, you know, there's just so much inertia, the weight behind everything. You know, it just keeps on boink, 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 boink.
Yeah, by the time I finish,
it's the FRA.
As a reminder.
I
forgot I had that.
Don't forget the bread.
And the eggs.
And the milk.
As our express rolls into the station, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through our wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all of our past episodes if you really want to hack it. You can also sample some of the other fine programs that are being offered. Till next month when we journey to Chicago Junction, this is your announcer, Brian Valou, with the rest of the gang, saying happy rails to you. And good night, Mr. Ryan, wherever you are.
I'm still getting emails from him.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, June the 8th, the year 2022. Chicago Junction is produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikanda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, June the 8th, the year 2022. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening.